Hey, welcome. It's just me, really. And so, what I'm going to be talking about today, The Real Housewives of Atlanta, this last episode. So, what is this, season 17, episode 13? Okay, great. Let's go on ahead and get into it. I'm really not talking about, I guess, all the things that happen beforehand before they get to Scotland for real. Let's just get into it. What really got me thinking is this episode with Angela and Shamia. And so I had been trying to process like what's really going on. So I want to say this. Angela looks I don't want to say that she looks like she's lying. I think that the way in which she said when they were sitting when after they first arrived to Scotland and she talked about Shamia possibly sleeping with this man George, it came across to me the viewer as though she was saying that George's wife, I guess her name is Ashley, the way Ashley had presented it to Angela when Angela asked. But I gotta say, Angela, you didn't do yourself any favors because Shamia says you've been asking about me. And Angela's like, no, I haven't. But clearly you have been. So you were asking, and then you add, oh, because George said, that girl is fine. I had to pay for it. Angela, you putting 15 on 10. So I was kind of like, well, why, Angela, are you so concerned about what Shami is doing? But then I get it. You seem very triggered that the read that the girls give to you about Charles being outside, that seems to be the thing that you take greatest issue with. And I do understand that. But I guess my question is, how are you able to make up with Portia when Portia did say, and again, the read was right and it was on point, she fuck around and I'll fuck Charles. Again, I'd have said the same thing, right? I'd have said it, not even meaning it, but just to get right to get at her, I would have done it, especially since, there was beef. So the fact that you can be friends with Portia and now you going super duper hard on Shamia is problematic. And now when you get confronted with Shamia with the text message, and now you're like, no, I said it and I was the one, and she tried to make it seem like Shamia was wrong for saying you are a liar. I didn't quite understand that, Angela. And then in the car to say, well, she said something to my daughter, and then that was off limits. Number one, your kid is grown. So your kid is so grown that she's married, right? And then to say to Shamia, well, you overstepped a boundary for me. Whoa. That's not fair. It's not fair to Shamia. Shamia said, and I think that it was appropriate. And this idea like, oh, kids are off limits. Listen, when we are engaging in the war, okay, and we are going battle for battle, round for round, I'm going to talk about your kid. I'm going to talk about your ugly grandmother. I'm going to talk about your no good husband. Like, all of those things are on the table. And y'all kill me with the kids are off limits. This kid was grown and she didn't say anything to your kid, or she didn't say anything to you about your kid to make it kids are off limits. She just said, oh girl, you nicer than your mama, which a old Southern 85-year-old woman would have said. Like, come on and cut that out, Angela. So the truth is that you're very triggered. I think that your husband is outside and is fodder for the ladies talking about him, but you had to know that before coming on reality TV. But not only that, like, you know what it is with you and your husband. So why are you even worried about it, right? Like, your husband doesn't seem like he's very affectionate towards you, but he could be that way when the cameras aren't rolling or whatever. You know your relationship with your husband. Why are you letting that bother you to the point that you now look crazy out here? It looks exactly like Shamia said. It looks like you went digging, because why would you go to Ashley and say, Ashley, do you know her? Because I'm about to go in on her. Why would you care? If I'm going in because if me and some other girl got beef and a friend of mine or an associate of mine comes up and goes, tap, 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 Sherelle, that's my homegirl, blah, 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 I would say, I understand that, but me and her got an issue. So that I hope you understand this ain't got nothing to do with you, but I'm finna get her together. That has nothing to do with nothing. So you are digging and it looks that way and you just got caught in it. And instead of owning it, you're very, you're very adamant and you're doubling down, which brings me to the point of the group. And it's true. I think I was watching Jason Lee's show, which I have always enjoyed him. So I'm going left again. I'm going left. I'm gonna come back right. I have always enjoyed him on Hollywood. He was on Love and Hip Hop, I think Hollywood or Love and Hip Hop LA or whatever they had. So I enjoyed him, and to see his evolution is wonderful. It's inspiring. And he talked about being messy boots before and being less messy boots, not afraid to ask the question or have the discussion. So I don't think that it comes from a super messy place. So I just enjoy seeing that. But seeing Kay Michelle on his show, I'm still in the process of watching it. I haven't finished it, but I do have some thoughts and I'll share them later, maybe at another time, I don't know. But I went left and then perimenopause then took the thought away. But I started talking about Kay Michelle and what she said about the cast or whatever's going on, but now I don't remember. So my apologies. But anyway, but just the shade of it all. I think that's really what it is. I don't necessarily care for the way that we have come about to just shading people for the sake of shading them. Like, why can't there be real beef? It feels like manufactured beef. And that's really what it is. So this thing with Angela, it feels very manufactured. Now I remembered it. Come on, perimenopause, and come back to me. Thank you for the recall. Okay. Kay Michelle was talking about how back in the day, or there was the talls versus the smalls, I think, or maybe Jason brought it up, the talls versus the smalls, on the Housewives. And it does seem like there is a division. And it does, for all intents and purposes, seem like there is Team Portia and Team Shamia. And that's really what it seems like. It seems like Angela, Drew, and Phaedra being maybe in on it, and Portia. It seems like that. Oh, Cynthia. Because as much as Cynthia tries to act like she's peacemaker, she really has not been as neutral as I'm used to seeing her. And she has seemed to really engage in the dislike for Shamia or for Kay or for Pinky and sometimes Kelly. So I don't know. It does feel very weird in that, because I think if it had been one of them that Shamia was asking questions about or whatever the case may be, I think they would have had a problem with that and they would have called it out. So the fact that Angela is out here asking questions and digging and everybody's just looking around and playing with their soup and, nobody's got nothing to say is, what's the word? It seems like a double standard. And for that, I don't like it. And that's what makes it seem like there's beef and that there are teams that just haven't been said out loud. That's what it feels like. And I don't like that. Because it feels like then the beef is manufactured. So there's that. I just want to address that. Angela, you wrong in this situation, honey bunches of oats. And Ashley, you calling Ashley or Ashley calling you only confirmed everything that Shamia had already said. So for you to go sit at the dinner and go, I spoke to Ashley for 2 minutes and Ashley said, Ashley didn't say it, I said it. How did Ashley even come up? And Ashley was uncomfortable with what you were asking, which is why she reached out to Shamia. So it was so uncomfortable for her that she reached out to Shamia. And the fact that Portia and Phaedra, and I guess Cynthia were all in the room when this happened, and everybody's quiet because it confirmed what Shamia was saying. So I don't like that. That is ugly, and I don't like it. And then Drew brings up, oh, well, and they were talking about kissing girls or whatever. And then Drew brings up, oh, well, Portia told me that you kissed Candy to Shamia. Drew, you are so out of place. I swear for God, like you are so out of place and your fakery, like just no. And it always gives that you are just trying to collect a check and trying to manufacture beef and drama. It's no. Your reading skills, I do not like it, Drew. And I'm not saying that I don't like Drew the person, because I remember Drew from the games. So while I was not a fan of Derwin, what's his name? I think it was Derwin or whatever his name was, getting with Drew. I didn't like it, but Drew, you are right, girl, but you doing a little too much and not enough all at the same damn time. So there's that. And again, because the other part of this, when Portia was like, when Kay is alluding to the fact that Portia and the girls seem to be a clique and they were asking about her or trying to shade her, here's what gave it away. Nobody was talking at all. And here come Portia with, oh, let me inspect this oyster. That was just so out of place. And it absolutely made all the sense in the world then. Oh, that's what's going on. So it just gives ick. I do not like it, especially when we talk about the state of what's going on with Black women. Like, can we do a little bit better? I don't know, right? I'm over here talking about it, but my plan is and my hope is never to talk badly about people and their personal life in any real way, except for my ex-husband. Just joking. But it just it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good. But then, right, so I'm here looking at it and going, I don't know how this is going on and so on and so forth. And then the situation with Kelly happens, with Kelly's husband, and they're all sitting around, they're all talking, and that just warms my heart, because all of these women had been through divorces, had been in the blogs, their lives being on display, and being able to come together and to uplift one another and encourage one another and let them know that they're going to get through it. That is what I love, about reality TV and seeing these ladies come together. I enjoy that. That's good stuff. So I hope that they're able to bring that together. And like, we do know that Drew loses custody of her youngest children with Ralph. And that's the part that is so hard as a mom, having come into a situation with a child, because now there's the separation of your child and y'all's children. So, and I remember, an episode where she had wanted Ralph to adopt the son, and Ralph in the end said, no, I don't want to adopt him. And I don't know if the reason that he gave, I think, was decent, because then he was trying to have the boy's father, biological father, come into the picture. But now, what does that look like? That you had 3 children being raised as brother and sister, and now one child is out of the picture and 2 children are staying. What on earth does that look like? That's got to be really difficult. And I know that as a society, we tend to think, "Ooh, she must have been a terrible mother for the father to get custody." Typically, in those divorces where there's a lot more money involved, it really is about who has the most money. Because I remember Eddie Murphy's wife, Nicole Murphy, she was a stay-at-home mom and raised those 5 kids, and Eddie got custody of the kids. And in those situations, it typically is who's got the most money. Whoever has the most money wins. Usher got custody of his kids. Who else? Ludacris got custody of that break baby that he took. And there was a lot going on there. And I definitely think that I don't know, I cannot say for sure, but it definitely looks like he married, I think you pronounce her name Adoxy. I don't know how you pronounce her name. His wife, like, he had that custody case, and then he went on to like have a surprise marriage and took custody of that baby. And my heart aches for that mother, because that's what I do. I work with custody and visitation, and I see sometimes that it's not necessarily and always the best parent that gets the kid, or the parent that cares genuinely about the kids. Sometimes it is just who has a better lawyer, and that is so unfortunate. And I hate that for both men and women. So, that's super duper unfortunate. But the best part was watching these ladies come together and really uplift one another. And I loved Kelly just saying, I'm sorry, Portia, right? Because I didn't understand Kelly's beef with Portia for real. It seemed out of place in the way she went so hard about it. But I guess, hurt the saying hurt people is true. Kelly was hurting and just looking to take it out on whoever. And baby, let me tell you something. I definitely get that. Because life come at you fast and we don't always have a manual as to how we should handle something. And sometimes it's just too late. But the great part is that Portia was willing to open up and hear her and say, I never wanted to have any hurt with you or have any drama with you, which is great. I also am hoping that this isn't Portia being like, and I'm going to take Shamia's best friend away from her, because it does now, since her and Shamia have become best friends. What does that look like? That Kelly and Portia are cool at the very least, but could be building something else. Can you be best friends with someone? Like I had a situation where my best friend was dealing with a dude, and a girl that I was friends with was dealing with the same dude. And I did not share that information about what I knew what the other one was doing. I stayed neutral. They had a thing amongst each other that they didn't really care for one another so much, but neither of them spoke ill of the other in front of me. And I put that out there like, check this out here. This is my people's. This is my people's. And that's just that. So can you do it? Yes, yeah, you can. So now that I think about it, yeah, you can be best friends and friends with people that have dislike for one another. Yeah, it's possible. You just have to set the appropriate boundary between them. And I don't need people to dislike people just because I dislike them, because that's my beef. So if I got beef with someone and my bestie is still cool with them, I trust my bestie. I trust that my bestie is not going to share my deepest, darkest information with that other individual that I don't like or I got beef with. And everybody's grown and way too grown to be like, oh, well, I don't like, they don't like me, so everybody in my camp can't like them. No. But also, I'm the child that my family raised, and my grandmother has this nice thing in her that has not, and she raised me that way. And I don't know that it always served me well, but I definitely was raised to be kind, even when I think people weren't deserving of it. Um, and that's another story for another day, because I did have conversation with my grandmother about that. Um, and it was something. So maybe we'll talk about that at another time. But I don't know, right? I'm rambling a little bit. Teensy weensy. Well, I gotta get it out, right? So there's just that. Anywho, those are my thoughts on that. But you guys let me know. Do you think that that phone call with Ashley, do you think it proved that Angela was justified in what she was saying to Shamia? Or do you think the way that I'm seeing it, that like that really didn't prove anything? It really just proved, Angela, that you were being as messy as we all thought that you were. And you should cut that out. That's all. You should cut that out, sis. Anywho, I hope you guys have a great one, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.